A friend of mine, Zimbabwean to be exact, sent me a picture last night of a roast dinner that he made for himself and his family. And like any red-blooded African man, I went out this morning, after the school run of course, and purchased myself a similar cut of meat. And right now, as we're speaking, I'm currently preparing it for my wife who's at work and my son who's at school, because that's what we do as men. But the question that begs of us is, how did we come to this place as a gender? You see, in 2022, October the 18th to be exact, my small family and I made a decision to embark upon a journey that would change the complexion of our lives forever. We moved from Zimbabwe to the UK. Yes, I did notice that I said my small family, intentionally so. Tanya, if you're watching this, one child is simply not African enough. People are starting to ask questions. I digress. Relocating to the UK will demand a loosening of the hard enforced, rigid, traditionally held values that we have as it pertains to gender roles in marriage. But if you work together as a unit with your spouse and have one common goal for the betterment of your lives and that of your children, it will and can be a decision that is very rewarding. Don't get me wrong, we have had our fair share of downtimes in the UK. We've stayed apart with Tanya. It's not so much that I was doing the child care or looking after JJ and all of long breaks at times whereby she would go out in the morning, let's say 6 a.m. and then she comes home at night at let's say 10 p.m. and home, by home I mean in Leicester where she was, and sometimes yes she would come to Kobe where we were, but she's worked that whole day. And then at the end of the day, it's not even many hours that she's worked for because she has gaps of like, let's say 5 hours in between her different calls. So financially, it's not like it was that rewarding, but you would be super tired at the end of all that. I helped her all that I could in applying for different jobs and stuff. At some point, we made a decision. We said, we don't want you to move to another sponsor. And then it's essentially the same thing. If we want a care home, let's just apply for care homes only. And we kept doing so and kept doing so until finally something stuck. And she got an interview. And from the interview, well, you guys have met her. She's amazing. So who would not take her? Okay, there are two things coming up. One, we're going to start a series called Of Love and Marriage. That's going to be talking about marriage and stuff. Those that do know us in the context of ministry, we have been in marriage ministry for quite some time now. We used to go with couples up to the mountains and stuff like that when we were still newlyweds. We dated with Tanya for 7 years before we got married, and then we got married in 2014. So we've been married for 10 years. So we've been together for 17 years. So she's essentially like my high school sweetheart. And we have really tried our best to have a foundation within the context of our marriage on the precepts of the Bible. And we have found great joy, and it's been a natural calling. For myself, it had been a calling from even before I met Tanya. I knew that I wanted to speak to couples, I wanted to speak to marriages, I wanted to understand why they don't work, what makes them not work, and what we can do to remedy the situation. So it's going to be called Of Love and Marriage, and we're going to be talking about marriage. We also will have a podcast segment to that, in which we have already spoken to some other friends that would be interested here and there to actually do that with us. And then the other video that I'm going to do is talking about an old job that I worked, that I'm currently working now. I went back to my old job, I'm working there, and I want to speak to someone about why I went back to my old job and why you possibly shouldn't quit your job. So just stay tuned, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Watch the space for more videos. We love you with the love of God, and above all things, God loves you.